How do you respond to a moment of unexpected human connection, like a simple hug, in a way that reveals more of your inner world than your words ever could? Most men, when met with that silent language of proximity, either recoil in awkwardness or lunge with an eagerness that signals desperation, and both responses are soon forgotten. What if I told you that by cultivating a profound, stoic stillness, in that one fleeting instant, you could plant an impression of unshakable calm that will echo in her mind long after the moment passes? The secret isn't in what you do, but in what you consciously choose not to do. We'll break down the architecture of this silent power, revealing the one critical choice that separates fleeting interactions from lasting presence. Before we proceed, understand this. The philosophy we explore today, Stoicism, is a discipline for rational living and inner freedom, designed to build character. It is educational philosophy, not individualized medical, legal, or relationship advice. Use its principles for self-reflection and consult qualified professionals for personal decisions. We seek mastery of the self, not manipulation of others. The common modern assumption is that impact requires noise, loud claims, grand gestures, or frantic activity. The ancient Stoics, observing the nature of things, understood the opposite. True power resides in stillness. Think of a well-anchored ship. It doesn't move easily when the waves crash against it. It holds its position, not because it's massive, but because its anchor is placed with intention on the unmoving seabed. This is the fortress of the mind that Marcus Aurelius spoke of, a space where you retire to find strength, not just a defensive barrier. When another person enters your immediate gravity, their energy, their emotion, their request for connection acts like a wave. The untrained man is tossed about. He reflects their anxiety or tries to overcompensate with his own nervous energy. The man who practices disciplined attention, the man whose inner citadel is secure, responds only after careful, deliberate observation. This is the principle of the dichotomy of control translated into human interaction. The other person's action, the hug, the touch, the expression on their face is external and thus ultimately not up to you. The only thing you truly own is your prohairesis, your faculty of choice, which dictates how you frame the event and how you respond to it. When she initiates a hug, the untrained mind instantly registers a judgment. I must reciprocate immediately to prove I like her. This judgment is a form of eagerness, and eagerness is a form of dependence on an external outcome. It signals that your peace of mind relies on her perception of your immediate, reflexive response. But the Stoic approach is to insert a micro-pause, not a freeze of uncertainty, but a breath of intention. Let her arms wrap around you. For a single heartbeat, do nothing but feel your own gravity. This tiny delay tells her, without a single word, that you are now present, not desperate, that you are secure, not seeking validation. You are not rushing the moment because you carry your own worth within you. This is the surgical clarity is that the ancients demanded. To grasp the power of this intentional delay, consider a preventative downfall I once witnessed. A young man, let's call him Alex, was intelligent and earnest, but deeply insecure. He met a woman, Sarah, whom he genuinely admired. Their interactions were always a little frantic on his part, a nervous laugh, a rapid-fire question, an immediate agreement. When Sarah gave him a warm, unexpected hug as they parted one evening, Alex didn't pause. He pounced. He squeezed her back instantly, almost aggressively, and began to rub her back with a quick, repetitive motion. He thought he was showing affection, but his body was screaming anxiety. His nervous energy overwhelmed her quiet moment of connection. For Alex, the hug wasn't a moment to be shared, it was a test. He had to pass instantly. He failed to distinguish between the event kakea, the hug, and his judgment, the need to perform. Sarah pulled away subtly and the conversation died awkwardly. Alex called me the next day, puzzled. "I don't think I left an impact," he said. He hadn't. He had rushed the moment, treating a potential anchor as just another wave to be frantically surfed. His reaction was reflexive, not chosen. The Stoic lesson here is that haste is a characteristic of those who have not yet mastered themselves. Alex's downfall was not one of cruelty, but one of self-betrayal. He betrayed his own composure by seeking instant approval. Once the intentional pause has established your calm ground, your return of the embrace must be deliberate, an act of sharing space, not claiming attention. When you return the hug, your posture should reflect a calm stability and safety. The ancient concept of apatheia, often misunderstood as coldness, is not the absence of emotion, but the freedom from disturbance. When you hold her, let the placement of your hands be intentional and secure, avoiding the nervous, repetitive motions that Alex exhibited. One hand positioned to stabilize, the other near the shoulder. It's an architectural unhold. It communicates, "I am here and I am solid." She should feel the contained strength as of a man who is master of his own emotional household, not the grasping desperation of one seeking external comfort. This is where we translate the abstract notion of resilience through voluntary discomfort into physical presence. If you've trained your mind to sit with uncomfortable silence, to accept a temporary state of not knowing, then holding a moment of physical closeness without over-eagerness becomes easy. Your body simply reflects your inner training, your T-forge, where character is tempered. Now, let's move to the most critical phase, the release. This is the subtle act that ensures the impression you've cultivated will linger. Just as the initial delay signaled your worth, the delayed release, the trailing half-second horn of contact, signals your intention to stay present. The majority of men yank away instantly, eager to move on to the next topic or to hide the vulnerability of the moment. They are afraid of the silence. But the Stoic understands that silence used well is power. When you separate, your hand should trail just long enough to confirm the transition, and then you must look her in the eye. This is the true moment of impact. Don't smile first. Let your face be a mirror reflecting nothing but calm observation. Invite her to read the peace in your eyes. This is not a tactic of psychological manipulation. It is an act of profound confidence. You are offering her a moment of quiet truth. The truth that you are fully present, unhurried and contained. When you finally allow a smile, let it be soft and knowing. A subtle acknowledgement of the shared moment, not a wide performative grin. That slight delay in the smile is the anticipation that breeds memory. The story of a delayed awakening perfectly illustrates the gravity of this composed presence. There was a successful professional, let's call him Ben, who had always viewed his interactions as transactions. He was charming, but surface level. He once spent months trying to impress a colleague, Clara, with gifts and witty banter, all external pursuits. They worked closely, and one day, after a particularly stressful presentation, Clara was genuinely exhausted and leaned into him, a weary, supportive touch. Ben, exhausted himself, simply held her back. Without speaking, not even thinking about it. He was too tired to perform, too depleted to be eager. For 5 seconds, he was just a stable anchor. When she looked up, he gave her the smallest, most tired but genuine smile he could muster and simply said, "That was rough. Good work." The next day, Clara sought him out, not to talk about work, but just to talk. She later confessed, "I finally felt like I was talking to you, not the performance you put on." Ben realized his greatest power lay not in his cultivated wit, but in his unadorned, grounded presence. That one moment of involuntary stillness taught him a hard lesson. Authenticity, not effort, is the currency of connection. His awakening was realizing he could choose that stillness every time. He learned that a calm, grounded man commands attention without ever having to chase it. This mastery of self-presentation stems from understanding the architecture of habit scaffolding. Epictetus told us that practice makes permanent. If you practice being frantic in small moments, you'll be frantic in large ones. If you train yourself to observe and pause, to hold your judgments, and to respond only after consulting your ars pro heresis, you are building a fortress pro core, brick by brick. The practical translation into daily life is simple. Slow down the entry and exit of every interaction. Don't yank your hand out of a handshake. Don't rush the first word after a greeting. Give the other person a chance to register your stee's presence. The credible transformation that follows this practice is profound. A former student of mine, David, was once plagued by social anxiety. We didn't focus on his fear. We focused on his posture of mind. He started practicing the intentional pause during simple interactions, buying coffee, greeting a neighbor. He treated these moments as his personal sea training ground. Within a year, his social anxiety hadn't vanished, but his reactions to it had changed. When he met his now fiancée, he told me the defining moment wasn't a clever line, but when she hugged him at an airport pickup. He executed the calm entry, the stable hold, and the intentional delayed release. She later joked, "You just look so calm, like you knew I was coming." The knowing smile was earned because David knew his own stillness was secure. The subtle difference between a man who is merely quiet and a man who possesses stoic stillness is this: the quiet man is often held captive by his environment, hoping to blend in. The stoic, however, is composed and capable, his silence being a deliberate choice of economy. He speaks only when it adds weight, allowing his energy to do the heavy lifting. A simple, "It's good to see you," spoken with a calm, resonant tone, lands harder than a flood of words because it carries the weight of a man who is unmoved by external noise. The lesson here is portable and actionable. Do not fill the silence with the unnecessary. If you must remember one principle today, let it be this: your silence is a statement of your self-possession. Repeat this phrase to yourself when you feel the urge to babble or over-explain. What we have explored today is not a set of social maneuvers, but a deep dive into disciplined attention applied to human connection. You have learned that the key to leaving a lasting impression is not seeking validation, eagerness, but demonstrating inner security. Calm. That initial shocking question, how to respond to a moment of human connection in a way that reveals your inner world, is now closed. The answer is through the cultivation of disciplined stillness, embodied by the micropause, the stable embrace, and the composed, delayed release. This presence is what makes you rare. The true work, however, is never finished. If you wish to sharpen this calm, grounded energy, the next essential step in your Stoic practice lies in mastering the discipline of assent. How to choose what you agree to believe. When you master the art of negative visualization, you can steel yourself against the future's potential storms, thereby making your present-day calm unshakable. That is the natural continuation of this architectural project of the self, and it is where we will take this path next.